Breaking news, this just in. You're listening to the cosmic, world-breaking, magnificent, multiversal, mega-talented news anchors, the superhero homies. And this is Comic News. That's right. I believe this is a comic news edition.
I think it is comic news.
Yeah. Thank you, Newscaster Q. That guy, he comes through when I need him.
Yeah, I mean, all of those voice recordings that guy's been doing for you, incredible.
Yeah. Whenever I need him, he always comes through in a pinch. So, yeah, shout out to that guy. Yeah, dog. So, there has been quite a few things going on that we're definitely going to get to. But I feel like the first thing we should kind of talk about here, maybe that's not on the comic news docket, which doing the cold opens on comic news is always interesting because it's like, this is just comic news light.
Yeah, the whole thing is a cold open. It's a series of cold opens.
A series of cold opens, yeah. And that is like, obviously, Spider-Man 2, the Insomniac video game, just recently came out. And it is doing currently really well. People really like it. It's selling really well, scoring really good.
I believe the first one is the best-selling PlayStation exclusive, period.
I think so. I couldn't remember if it was that or like one of the God of Wars.
No, God of War, actually, for as popular as it is and as good as it is, it doesn't sell as well. I mean, it sells well, but it doesn't sell as well as you would think. But I want to say Spider-Man, like, far and away blew away all the other exclusives. I know FF7 Remake also did very well.
Yeah, that nostalgia will do it.
Yeah, which, for a Square Enix game to sell well is a rare thing these days.
Well, and that kind of got me thinking, actually. Just looking at some of the previous superhero games we've gotten and where they maybe stumbled or succeeded in the rare occasions. So we had like, what was it called? Gotham Knights.
Oh, God.
Now, the thing about Gotham Knights is you play that game and it's obvious where its shortcomings are. You can play the game and see exactly where this game comes up short at.
Especially if, it's especially awful if you have played, if you booted up Arkham Knight with some friends and none of you have ever played any of the Arkham games, you could have a good time. But if you've ever played any of the Arkham games, they basically just took Batman's skill tree from City, split it into 4,
right,
and then gave everybody a little piece of it.
That would be better if they had done that. the problem is not only did they fragment that skill tree into 4 separate ones, but it doesn't feel as good.
No, nothing.
Feels
good.
Yeah. And the Arkham series is, I mean, if you go back to, Asylum, that came out in 2009, Yeah. And somehow still a lot of the combat and mechanics in that game feels just as good, if not better, than what we got in Gotham Knights.
I have to say, and I don't know this, I don't consider this to be a hot take, but the person making the take typically doesn't. I think Arkham City is, to this day, still the best superhero game, period.
I told you recently I had been replaying through the first Insomniac Spider-Man game, which I know a lot of people hold up there. I hold it in high regard.
I haven't played 2. I would say that in the 2018 Spider-Man from Insomniac, I would say that it's a number 2. I think it's not as good as City. And then I've heard that this game would sit in the second game. From people I've talked to, have said that it would sit in between those two. It's better than the 2018 Spider-Man, but maybe they wouldn't put it. I mean, Arkham City is just,
and you know what it is, right?
It's a high bar.
It's such a high bar, and for all the things that the Spider-Man games do well, and I really do love those games. I feel like what Arkham City, and really what the entire Arkham game base does as a whole is you never feel like you're doing the busy work, which I feel like is now a prerequisite for those type games, and I hate that it's become that.
Yeah.
And but you look at any kind of sandbox open world game that has the slightest hint of an RPG mechanic, and there's got to be busy work missions. And I wish that there was a way around that. You know what I mean?
I would say Red Dead 2 is like a shining example of not doing that.
Red Dead 2?
There is busy work you can go do if you want.
Yeah.
But the game never makes you go do it. I mean, you could be like max level in that game as far as like what all you could unlock way before you finish the story, even if you only did the story and nothing else.
Right.
Yeah,
you're right. Red Dead 2 is a great example. Baldur's Gate 3 is a great example.
I wouldn't consider that to be an open world, but the thing about Baldur's Gate 3 is the amount of care that is put into every single second of content in that game. It's like, you see somebody like I had 200 hours my first playthrough.
Right.
Ridiculous. Right? But you look at that and you're like, oh, well, I've spent 300 hours. I mean, I have WoW characters with 7 months of gameplay on just the one character. Like solid months over the years. Yeah, I've wasted a lot of my life. But no regrets. But yeah, I mean, but when you look at that hour count in Baldur's Gate, it's like I was never doing busy anything. Like I was engaged for every moment of that, really.
Yeah.
Every now and then it'll be like, oh, well, I got to go here and kill these guys. But the handcrafted nature of the content and how it all flows together and how good it is and how it all feels like part of the world. I mean, you really can't beat that. And that's one of the things that the Arkham series always did so well. It's like, even if you just decided to go fuck around in the open world and do whatever and just beat people up, you were going to stumble across, like some Riddler stuff or, one of the other like minor villains. And like they all had little arcs, you know. Even if it was only like 3 or 4 quests, it was still something,
Yeah. And I agree with that. So, and for me, I think that's going to be why I personally would put it above the Spider-Man games, putting my own Batman bias aside.
Right.
And hopefully one day we can get something akin to that again.
It ain't going to be that Suicide Squad versus Justice League game.
So, they went radio silent on that. And hopefully they're just working their asses off trying to
sell
something.
the company. Oh, okay. I mean, when Gotham Knights came out, I was like, okay, well, surely Rocksteady has all of the A-team working on this Suicide Squad game. And then, like, the B-team made this shit.
Yeah.
And then it's like, maybe there is no A-team.
Well, what happened to them? Because there used to be one.
Right.
Yeah.
It used to be the team.
Yeah.
That's a lot of, I think, what has gone on. So there's 2 things I think that are really, like, systemic in the video game industry right now. One of them is we associate certain brand names with things, CD Projekt Red, Square Enix, whatever, but developers come and go a lot.
That's true.
You look at Blizzard right now.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the people that made World of Warcraft do not work there anymore.
Right.
And that number was higher. They actually just brought back Chris Metzen, who was like the creative director at the beginning of all of that. And I'm pretty sure that he did not want to fucking work for Activision because he left years ago and did not return until it was like a sure thing that Microsoft was going to buy them. So that's just one example. And I actually do want to circle back around to that at some point. But, CD Projekt Red, obviously. You can't tell me the team that made the original Cyberpunk is the same people that worked on Witcher 3. It's just not. Like,
it can't be.
Yeah. So there's that, but also a lot of it is you have like where Square Enix or BioWare, getting gobbled up by EA or whatever. All these companies they start to do well, and they attract the attention of like investors and things.
Right.
And so people buy into them, and then over time it goes from being this game company to being this mega corporation, and The next thing you know, like they're just out to please the stockholders or whatever, or the shareholders, and they're not really giving a shit about the quality of the game. And so you end up with situations like Marvel's Avengers.
Yep. You know what? That was going to be one. Obviously, we had to talk about that one a little bit, in terms of somewhat recent superhero games.
And I feel bad for the people for Crystal Dynamics that made that, because you look at the library of Crystal Dynamics and they have a amazing track record and success rate. They brought fucking Tomb Raider back from the dead.
That's right. Yeah, they did that trilogy.
Made a trilogy of excellent Tomb Raider games, and they got swallowed up by Square Enix, and they were like, cool, we just got this Marvel license. You're going to make this fucking open world MMO superhero game.
Live action or live service, yeah.
Yeah. And they were like, why are we being told to do this?
Right.
And then it came out, it was a shit fest, and then they got blamed for it. And Square ended up selling them off, which probably ended up being good for them in the long run.
It may take a while for their reputation to recover from that, though, which is unfortunate. But I mean, hell, the same thing with Square. It's gonna take a while for their reputation to recover. I mean, it was a rippling effect.
Square is just now finally feeling it in their wallet. I don't know if you've seen any of that.
Oh, I have, yeah.
But like,
well, they've, apparently, like it's been compounding, for a while. So like it, started around the time of not Final Fantasy, but Avengers, and then Forspoken also did not do well at all.
And they put a lot of money into Forspoken.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Guardians of the Galaxy also did not do well.
Yeah. And that's a good game.
That's a good game. And I'm like, man, if they put that same kind of care and attention into making, a similar style of game for Avengers, because of the property value and the name alone, it would have done them a lot of good to do extremely well with an Avengers-led title.
I mean, hell, they could have made a Guardians trilogy.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly think the thing that game really was missing was co-op. They should have had 4-player co-op for that game.
That is where they dropped the ball with that game, for sure. Because it's not like Guardians isn't a big name on their own, But yeah, you're right. It should have been co-op. And, we reviewed that game when it came out whenever ago. But, one of my only major complaints was that you only technically play as Peter Quill, and you can sort of control the other teammates in a way that forces you to be more tactical, which is cool and fun. But people not only want to play as all 4 characters, they want to play all 4 characters with their friends.
Right, yeah.
And you just don't have that option. Other than that, they delivered an excellent game.
Yeah, they got all the characters right.
Oh, yeah. And, so it got me thinking, man, it's incredible to see that. I feel like back in the day, good superhero movies were more rare, but the superhero games we got, I feel, maybe we just had more of them because maybe the licenses were cheaper. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
probably.
Yeah.
And like we talked about the Activision thing. Activision published a lot of cool video games, like X-Men Origins, which was a good game, terrible film.
That's right.
And then the Ultimate Alliance series.
Oh, I love those. Yeah.
Yeah. I really like the first 2.
Oh yeah, that's all I played.
The third one's a fucking cell phone game, basically. That shit made me so angry.
It's a Switch exclusive, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, you boot it up, it literally, you just like, I'm playing a cell phone game.
Oh, jeez, really?
Yeah, it's rough, dude. I played it for about 20 minutes.
That's unfortunate.
2 was so good.
Oh, yeah. Man, I played the hell out of 2. I played that game religiously.
Yeah.
It was so fun. And again, you could play that with your friends,
But Activision published a lot of Spider-Man games back in the day.
Yeah.
It used to be, we would get Spider-Man games from multiple developers.
I remember that, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there were so many Spider-Man games.
Yeah.
I mean, there was just a shit ton of them back in the day.
But now, Sony has decided to use it to, like, pretty much exclusively market their console, so.
And, I mean, I would be... I'd be kicking their backs in right now if their games were trash.
Right, but I mean, they're amazing games, pun intended. Not taking anything away from that. So
yeah.
But as someone who would rather play on PC, I'm just kind of I'm waiting on it to come out on PC next year. So,
and that's fair. But I myself, I think that like, in order for us to go back to getting those kind of good video games, we're gonna have to deal with the fact that like licensing, I think, is such a major thing for them now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so I think that's maybe one reason why we haven't gotten like an actual Batman game since Arkham Knight.
Yeah,
that was 2015.
My bet is, so there's a lot, and this is probably, we might just be going right into comic news now. There's a lot of rumor out here that Warner Brothers is going to be bought up. That they're going to spin off basically WB and all of its entertainment properties. It's not working out the way Discovery wanted. Mm-hmm. So I think everything outside of WB that they bought, they're going to keep. But then like all the entertainment properties, DC, all that shit, they're going to, basically everything that's in Space Jam 2.
That's a lot of shit.
They're gonna package all that up and sell it.
Holy shit!
Yeah, get your shit together, put it in a backpack,
right?
Take it to the shit store and sell it. As long as it's together. But yeah,
that would be holy shit. Yeah, that'd be huge.
It's heavily rumored, but it goes to show like what's gonna happen, to like a lot of those licenses, whoever buys WB, because like. You would imagine that they're going to be trying to start, maximizing the value of that stuff. Because, like, I don't think Discovery is doing that.
Right.
I feel like I saw the Aquaman 2 trailer the other day. I went to see the new Exorcist movie.
Oh, yeah. The trailer for that looked good. How was the movie, though?
I'm not a horror movie person.
Yeah.
So take this with a grain of salt. Like if you're really big into like horror films, especially like these kind of jump scare slasher type movies, I'm just some random fucking guy off the street. My opinion,
gotcha.
It's not like the other shit we talk about on here where I may know a little bit what I'm talking about.
Right.
Now if it's like the Saw franchise, I'm a big fan of that. Even though like 75% of those are trash.
I heard that 10 was good though.
10, it looks amazing.
Yeah,
and it takes place between 1 and 2, and it seems like it's it's not trying to do all this sprawling shit. There probably is a moment at the end where like the music plays and then they explain everything, but at this point you kind of want it. You'd be mad if it didn't happen.
Yeah,
but I digress. So, I liked the movie a lot. Actually, I did not think it was. I thought it was pretty unique. Mm-hmm. I definitely wasn't bored, and I didn't think it was the typical, horror movie thing where like every character acts dumb.
Right.
God,
I hate that. Yeah.
There's a couple of tropes in there, but I feel like at this point you have to include a lot of those.
Yeah.
If you're trying to cater to fans of that genre.
That's true. And you're also carrying like the legacy name of The Exorcist, you know what I mean?
Right.
So and also David Gordon Green, I think is the man who made this movie. He had a lot riding on this movie because he made the last Halloween trilogy that started off amazing. Started off maybe the second best movie in that franchise.
And then I heard it tanked.
Quickly became dog shit, So
this I enjoyed it. I mean, would I go? I mean, I went to the movies and saw it, and I definitely didn't feel like I wasted my money.
Yeah.
I thought the ending was interesting, and the setup is pretty cool. I won't spend too long on this, but basically, the guy, it's about like two little girls that get possessed, and the kind of like main girl. They both get a good bit of screen time, but it's clear that the father of one of the girls is like the main character, and you see most of the movie through his eyes. And basically, he's in Haiti with his wife when the earthquake there happened, and she's like 9 months pregnant, gets like a bunch of like like a building basically falls on her.
Jesus.
And they're like, her injuries are very severe. Anything that we do to save her is gonna kill the child, and it like if we don't do it, then you're gonna lose her. So like, you got to tell us, like, do you want us to save her or the baby? And you don't get to know what his choice was.
Quick save.
Yeah. Why is the screen great? You don't get to know what the choice was until later in the movie, but the way that it works out is very interesting. And I thought that I don't know the guy's name, but the leading man there was very good. Like I thought that it worked out really well, and it had some good characters. Don't get me wrong. There's a couple moments where it's like, but I liked it. So
I'll check that out.
But anyway,
yeah,
we got off on that tangent. But I saw the Aquaman trailer.
Yeah.
Before I never even watched it.
Oh,
I didn't even watch it.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, they took Amber Heard like almost entirely out of this. She's in that trailer for like 2 seconds.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, what else can you do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and this, what I'm about to say, technically applies a little bit to both DC and Marvel, but it's like some of your woes, I feel bad for you because this technically isn't on you. Ezra Miller being a fucking lunatic. I mean, you guys, maybe you guys knew way ahead of time, but I doubt you knew back in 2016. You know, and Amber Heard being a turd, you know, like by the time that shit hit the fan,
literally,
yeah, Aquaman 2 is already kind of on his way, and you know, so it's like I understand that not all of this was your fault, but also majority of this is your fault, and you guys could have and should have done something completely different, and you guys wouldn't be in the situation. Ultimately, it's like this, right? And this doesn't just go to superhero movies, but movies in general. You can have shitty people making movies, but if those movies are fucking good, people will forget and forgive a lot.
Oh yeah,
you know. But
I mean, everything Jonathan Majors is about to come out with.
and I'm not gonna say that he's a shitty person yet. I don't know.
We don't have the facts.
Don't have the facts. I hope that he's not, because damn, he's a good fucking actor.
Right. Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully he can act well in that courtroom. But yeah, we'll see.
But you know, it goes like to show like if they do sell WB, man, like that's going to be a huge deal, because whoever buys it could literally just take James Gunn and Peter Safran and be like, look, we're not going to do this thing that you want to do.
Right.
And like the whole thing just gets shaken up again. Or what if Disney buys it?
I was just thinking about that. If Disney were to do that, first of all, that would change so much, because if they buy Warner Media, that doesn't just give them licensing to these characters in terms of lunchboxes, toys, and movies. That also gives them rights to comic books.
Oh, so is that officially owned by Warner Media now? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I did not know that. So good story. So yeah, I mean, and that's crazy, because at that point, essentially, I guess the wall between those two universes comes down, which is nuts.
Yeah. Now, comic book sales would skyrocket for multiple reasons. One, they'd all be under one umbrella, so they technically double, I guess. And then two, people want to see what the fuck is going to happen. Yeah. And then, you know, we probably get a bunch of mid comic books and be like,
Yeah, but, you know, there'd be like a Wolverine Batman book.
Oh, for sure.
With like 400 issues.
Oh, and definitely. Yeah. It'll be a fucking... It'll be like when Vince bought WCW back in the day, but not really.
Yeah.
It'll be like that.
Yeah, it'll be like Darkseid versus Darth Vader.
Oh, yo, they could do that. they could do that if
they wanted, yeah.
Jesus.
Like, what the fuck?
Galactus shows up in the new Ray movie, you know.
Yeah. Well,
that could happen anyway.
I would applaud, you know. Yeah.
Well, now that we've successfully rambled
for 25 minutes,
homies, one and all, welcome back to a comic news edition of the Superhero Homies podcast. My name is Quentin, and tonight, whatever time you're listening, I'm here with my good friend, my homie, the brother, homie Caleb. Welcome back.
hey, I'm just here to promote my own show. Go check out Entertainment Involved. Man, we just I feel like I haven't been on here in a while. Although that's not really true. We did the Ahsoka review. We did a excellent assembled episode on that. So
that was great.
Really like that. I just got done listening to your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles review. I was there with you guys when we watched that, but I was at the beach when you guys reviewed it, and I listened to the review, and I really agreed with pretty much everything you guys said. However, for a very different take on that, I need to send you the link for this.
Yeah.
Brandon Sanderson and Dan Wells reviewed the movie on their podcast.
Oh.
And Dan Wells especially has a very hot take. It's not as hot as his take on Rings of Power, where he gave it like a 8.5.
Holy shit!
Yeah. There's a gif of Sanderson's face when Dan Wells said 8.5. It's hilarious.
Like, out of 100?
Yeah, like out of what? They on their review they actually recounted like kind of the origins of the Turtles and like how it originally was like a Daredevil parody and all that stuff, and they kind of went a little through that history of like how things evolved and stuff. But to their credit, they did both say they hated the Splinter stuff, like that was the worst part for them. Yeah. So
at least that's across the board. And I mean, this podcast is kind of at this point like, I mean, we have takes that are just not a lot of times in agree. What we've learned on this podcast is just give it time.
Yeah, and not to spitball us again, but like, recently Marvel came in. I guess maybe this can be our first item. I'm taking it. We recently had the whole Marvel thing where they like basically deleted Daredevil season 1.
Yeah,
they came in. They were like, "What do you guys have on Daredevil Born Again?" And like they had to do this big presentation for Kevin Feige and all them. And Kevin Feige watched that shit and was like, "Nah, you're fired, all of you."
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is what we needed you to do for the last like several years. I mean, it's 2023. Endgame came out in 2019.
Yeah.
It is hard to imagine that Endgame was only 4 years ago with the amount of content that has come out since then. And, okay, maybe not bangers only, but let's just... How long do you think it would take us to run down everything that was good or better that has come out since then?
Since Endgame?
Yeah.
Oh, we're at the 28-minute mark. We could go to like the 29-minute mark.
Yeah. Spider-Man, Doctor Strange 2, the Hawkeye show.
What If?
What If? Season 1.
Yep.
We're already struggling, folks.
Yeah. The specials were decent, I thought.
Yeah.
I like both the specials.
Yeah, they're actually coming out with a colorized Werewolf by Night.
That's right, yeah. But man, like outside of that, it gets iffy.
Yeah, I mean, we can drop down to okay and start talking about like Falcon and Winter Soldier or like Moon Knight or, they should have knew
they were in trouble when people kind of as a whole didn't really fuck with Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I'll put WandaVision in good.
I would too. Yeah.
But here's the thing about that. WandaVision felt like an event.
It did.
It felt important. And granted, don't get me wrong, like no earth-shattering, crazy Mephisto fucking shit happened, even though the internet wanted it to. And other than the boner joke shit that they pulled on us, the Evan Peters nonsense, other than that, I found like that show was enjoyable. And a lot of people are like, it felt like a TV show, whereas a lot of these other ones, they feel like a 6-hour movie. And it just doesn't work.
No.
And don't get me wrong, you can tell a story in that format and have it work. The thing to me that always comes to mind, and this is going to date me a little bit, the Sam Neill Merlin movie. You ever seen that? It was like a TV special back in the day.
That was way back in the day. Yeah,
it was like in the late 90s. That shit is awesome. Like still to this day.
I haven't seen it in so long. I need to. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's TV miniseries. Or like, apparently like there is a subsection of the internet that does not love the show, but Ahsoka I thought did a pretty good job. Although the opening episode suffered from that because you've got the first 10 minutes of a movie that's build up, and that's 60 minutes,
Right. Right.
So yeah, I mean, like they're going and now they're saying, okay, well we want to hire showrunners and treat these like television shows, and I'm like, where you been, Kevin Feige? Like,
Right.
Marvel has been putting out mostly shovelware for 4 years.
Yeah.
We went through an entire phase of almost all junk.
Yeah, and I think if nothing else, it goes to show that there was truly way too much on Kevin Feige's plate, and he delegated a lot of that work.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. The fact that he himself didn't even really know what was going on with the Daredevil TV show until recently.
Yeah.
That says, I mean, there were 7 episodes down?
Yeah, they were 7 episodes in, and I think they're going to do 18.
They were almost halfway.
Yeah.
And he just now caught wind that it was shit.
And apparently he didn't put the suit on until the end of episode 4.
Yeah.
And it was like a quirky lawyer show. I don't know if they were just like, everyone loves suits. Let's make that. And which in a vacuum, I'm down for that because I fucking love suits. But don't waste Matt Murdock on that shit. If you want to try to make Marvel fucking suits, guess what? You got She-Hulk for that shit.
Yeah, but I wish She-Hulk was like that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I was like, man, I kind of wish this was just like Suits, and then every now and then she would transform into the Hulk and beat the shit out of someone.
Yeah. That would have been the fucking at least like 8 out of 10 if they just took something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just the simple fact that, man, with Daredevil getting this hard kind of reset, and have you heard anything about you kind of talked a little bit about the alleged synopsis for that show?
Yeah.
How it was going to be, like you said, a kind of a almost procedural-esque lawyer show. And I also heard a rumor that they were going to, early on, like episode 1, kill off Foggy and Karen off screen.
Oh my God.
Yeah, could you imagine, right?
And that's their excuse to not bring the original actors back.
Yeah. That would have been awful. And also from what I heard, like the premise of the show was going to be something like Punisher was going to be in it as well, from what I understood.
Okay, well,
Yeah. It was going to be really interesting seeing Punisher in this kind of environment, but it was going to have a lot to do like the real world implications of like police and military units using the Punisher logo. They were going to try to like rework that into, the TV show, and Punisher, I guess, trying to take back the skull. The issue is this: when the people writing the show don't understand why certain people using the skull is problematic, then the show itself, it loses what it was trying to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so the issue, is the fact that the Punisher skull, Frank Castle clearly kills people as his form of justice because he does what the police can't. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's kind of like his whole stance on that. Does Frank Castle kill police if they're crooked?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like other than that, no, he doesn't really fuck with them one way or another. He's not pro or anti-police. He's just Frank Castle.
Yeah.
And so when you have these kind of police groups, or whatever, utilizing the skull, obviously the fear of that is, if you have a Batman logo on your vehicle, no one's gonna bat an eye. If you have a Superman logo, no one's gonna care. Spider-Man, you can choose any other superhero, but if you choose the Punisher, that does send out an implication that, okay, you down with that Frank Castle shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it kind of sends out, the wrong message. But I don't really think the TV show understood that. And the comics went so far as to change the logo.
Yeah.
Which I think makes it worse because you're submitting.
You're letting them take it. Yeah. I think a quick line or reference in the show would be cool, but for them to make it a theme, I just don't buy that, and I don't think that people would have liked it.
And for the record, I don't think that every police officer or military person that has the Punisher logo are fucking psychopaths. I think that maybe a lot of them just like the logo, or maybe just like maybe they're just fans of the comic books. I think the majority of them probably are not psychopaths, but some of them probably definitely are.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this off mic though. Kind of the issues with Marvel as a whole. It's like you go all the way back to Ragnarok coming out, and it's like, you and Kevin sat here and like we've talked about it several times since, and it's like we harp on like tone, character integrity, things like that, and I get it. Like we get it that the average viewer wants to go sit in the movie theater. Get a soda and a popcorn, turn their brain off, and watch the movie and enjoy it. I get that. And sometimes I want to do that too. Doing this all the time makes that very difficult to do.
It does.
Because it's like you're just constantly analyzing everything.
Yeah.
But when something comes along that checks off all those boxes, I feel like it makes it that much sweeter. When like an Infinity War comes along.
Right.
And then... So, I get that. But the reason that we're on here and we talk about those things is because the people who are making these movies and shows have to understand this stuff at the root level. And if you are letting someone put out something like Ragnarok, where it's like, this is a fun movie, but it undermines everything that we're doing here. That is indicative of a problem at a very base level. So you take a thing like Ragnarok, and at first it's just, the Hulk chose to stay here. And he's just the Hulk all the time. And he's a big-ass toddler.
Is he angry? Not necessarily, but,
Yes. Do I think do I think it worked purely within the context of that movie? Sure. Was the fight that he and Thor had, was it a visual spectacle and fun to watch? Absolutely. It sure was. That's not the problem. The problem is the things that we've been talking about, where it's like, Hulk would never do this. A powered down Thor with no Stormbreaker, no Mjolnir does not stand a chance. You can't say he's not the god of hammers and doesn't need it, and then send him on an arc to get a new hammer because he just can't cut it. And then it's just like, or killing the all of his side characters off screen. Lucky for Sif, she just happened to not be there.
Unfortunately, they made her come back.
It didn't work out well later either, but she still got a better. She still got it better than the rest of them. I mean, she's just missing an arm, right? I mean, shit. I mean, we'll just send her to Wakanda and they'll print her a new one. But what I'm trying to get at here is when these things start to happen, it is a snowball effect, and it lands us here where we're at now, where Marvel is losing money hand over fist. You got the Marvels 2 that's projected to have a sub 400 million opening. 5 years ago, you could have stamped Marvel Studios on a lunchbox and it would have made more money than that. And it's just crazy to see where we've come. And whenever I look at that sort of thing, I look back at like a Ragnarok where people were like, oh, you guys are just hating on the movie. This movie's amazing. I really had a fun time watching it. And it's just like, okay, but it started the snowball effect of, well, you know what? We can just chip away at this character here. We need this character to be this for this plot that we want to do. And we, I know that we're telling this story and it's about the end of Asgard and like all these people dying and everything, but we're going to make it a jolly old romp. And we're just going to be completely tone deaf. And here we are.
And here we are. Yeah.
And I feel slightly justified, but I'm more sad.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. It's like, whenever we go on like any type of these rants, it's not because we're happy that we're right. No, I would, and I said this years ago at this point. I said I would literally love for the Marvels to prove me wrong. Make me come on this podcast and eat crow. You know what I mean? I would love for that to happen. Do I think that's going to happen? I think it'll be better than the first one.
Yeah. Well, that's just because Kamala's in it and Monica Rambeau. Yeah.
And also, I don't know if you know this or not, but this has like the shortest runtime of a movie in the MCU at 1 hour and 45 minutes.
I'll be honest, man. Last I don't know, 5, 6 Marvel movies we watched. Mm-hmm. I've been checking the time on some of them. I'm like, can we just get to the third act CG fest and get out of here? Yeah. Can we? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it starts off with like Ragnarok, and then next thing you know, Ant-Man is beating the shit out of Kang with his bare hands.
Right. And I'm no like, powers. What in the fuck am I watching?
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, just to go back to what you said about Ragnarok, about how people praised and loved the movie for all the things that you said, it's a fun time. It was, the visuals were great, and this, it's so funny, and it doesn't take itself seriously. A lot of those same people complained about those things in Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
And so it's like sometimes you catch lightning in a bottle, but you can't keep it there.
Is that a pun? Is that intentional?
It wasn't, but I'll take it.
You're right, though. I mean, and it's almost like Taika Waititi, Marvel in general, like Marvel was like, we got to do this, and this. And I feel like on Love and Thunder, they were like, well, people love Ragnarok, so this is in good hands. Taika, do whatever you want.
Yeah. Kiss of death.
And I will say, while I don't get very much joy in seeing a lot of these things go south, seeing Taika Waititi like that nobody wants to watch his shit makes me very happy. Because that soccer movie he came out with bombed hard.
And his Star Wars movie got canceled, right?
Yeah. That seems to be a running theme. Is like, you do really well, and then Disney's like, would you like some Star Wars movies? And you're like, yes. And then you put out a bunch of shit, and then Disney just silently cancels you.
Right. Like the Double D's from Game of Thrones, right?
Yep, same shit happened with them.
Yeah. And they've been radio silent, haven't they? Yep. What have they done?
Not shit. Patty Jenkins.
Patty Jenkins, yeah. Yeah, her Star Wars project got canceled.
Yeah.
And her Wonder Woman 3. Yeah.
I am glad that they are officially moving away from all the Justice League characters.
Me too. Like, let's get a clean slate.
Yeah.
And by a clean slate, James Gunn, I also mean The Flash. Let's get a clean slate.
Yeah.
And you think that'd be the most obvious one, right? So it baffled me that they're like, we're gonna wait and see.
Well, wait and see what?
Right.
Yeah. that was so bizarre to me. Yeah. And like I really wish they had just come out the gate with the obvious answer, because when they hired them and they were like, yeah, we're going to do all this stuff, I'm like, okay, that's cool, but you're not saying the phrase I want you to say.
Yeah.
Which is, we are going to slash and burn everything and scorched earth and start fresh.
Yeah. Just do that. You know what I mean? Just start over. I think at this point we kind of want that. And there's a few different segues actually that we can go from there.
Quite, we've been bouncing around all kinds of stuff.
Let's go into this one here. There's a couple of things here concerning James Gunn. We can go ahead and knock these out, get these out of the way here. So one of these, and again, like a lot of it's just word salad, verbal foreplay, if you will, but it brings some degree of comfort to hear filmmakers say stuff like this. But there's an article where James Gunn says that each DCU project will change tone to fit the filmmakers. And while that sounds like something that's obvious and should be done, a lot of these movies have been samesies, where they all feel cookie cutters, to the point where I'm like, why did you guys hire a different director if you're not going to imply that director's skill set. But yeah, the quote here is, he says the DCU will shift from project to project and will reflect the unique sensibilities of the filmmakers involved. So, I mean, and again, this sounds like it should be something obvious, but because we haven't been getting that recently, that's actually a really, really good thing if they are going to imply that. So what that means is that, like, James Gunn's Superman will feel like a Superman-esque movie.
Right.
I mean, and a James Gunn-esque movie. It's probably gonna have it's gonna have a tone that is suitable for James Gunn to adapt properly. So, and what that does is it avoids things like what you just mentioned with Taika Waititi and Thor, how they gave him the heaviest Thor storylines, from Gore the God Butcher to Jane Foster having cancer to the end of Ragnarok.
Right.
And what that does, it avoids those weird tone deaf moments, and instead we get directors who will maybe be more tonally suitable for these movies. And I like the idea that maybe the Batman and Robin movie, might have more of a familial type feel to it, and then say, the Swamp Thing project would be more dark and gothic in nature, but still part of the same universe.
They're gonna get James Wan.
No, they don't need to do that. and not to go off on a tangent on that, but man, on paper, James Wan should work.
Yeah,
I mean, he should. I mean, he's done superhero, he's done horror, he's done action.
I think the visuals for Aquaman in both movies.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't seen the final product on 2, but the trailer for 2 and the way that 1 turned out, I think the visual on, like, the way that they showed and displayed Atlantis and, like, the underwater stuff was incredibly well done.
I think so, too. That's probably my favorite part, was just how good the visuals were. I mean, I can't say that I thoroughly enjoyed a whole lot else. I thought the action scenes were good, like the big ones.
He looked really dope in the suit at the end.
Yeah.
The gold suit or whatever. Mm-hmm. So.
And, something else that we've implied is that it's one thing when people like you and I point out certain things and complain about certain aspects, but it's way worse when you see the casuals saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And they've said so much about Aquaman, I can't really get excited about this movie because it's not going to lead to anything.
Yeah. And I've heard, and I don't want to say casual with disdain and disgust in my voice.
Right.
If you're hearing that, you're imagining it. I promise. But yeah, I mean, I've heard casuals say exactly that. They're like, well, it's not going to lead to anything. So, and like, honestly, if they would have told me The Flash wasn't going to lead to anything, I wouldn't have wasted my money to go see that shit either. But, they pulled a Captain Marvel 1 on us, and they lured us all in there like, oh, hey, this movie is going to reveal the future of DC and all this other stuff. And then it was just a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, and it didn't lead to anything.
And they've got to realize they have to stop giving us these fucking filler movies.
Right.
Like, they have to stop giving us these fucking shoddy tentpole movies. Like, it needs to move the narrative forward.
Right.
If not the overall narrative, it needs to move the narrative for that character forward.
Character, yeah.
Because, like, yeah, I mean, like, take Iron Man 2, right? Nobody fucking sits here and loves Iron Man 2.
Right.
It's just another, like, it's better than 3.
Yeah.
But, like, it pales in comparison to the first one. And it's, like, the only sequel in phase 1. And and it's just kind of the redheaded stepchild of phase 1. They're just like,
Yeah.
But it moves the character and all of those characters forward significantly. And it also expanded the universe. We got a lot more Agent Coulson in that. Right. We got a lot more Fury. They set up Thor a bit in it.
Yeah.
They
properly introduced War Machine.
A lot of stuff in that movie that, like, maybe the main plot wasn't amazing, but you're going to see the MCU unfold.
Right. And
they gave us that. You have to give me one or the other.
Yeah.
You either have to give me the Batman.
Yeah.
or you got to give me Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
If you can,
Yeah,
and,
you're right.
And if you really want to like dig deep in there, you can give me like an Infinity War or a Civil War or a Winter Soldier that does both.
Right.
You know, to differing degrees of mastery, but
Yeah.
I digress. But yeah, I mean, if you want to give me both, that's amazing. But you got to give me one or the other, and they haven't been doing either thing.
Yeah, they haven't been doing either one, and so it's Marvel and DC have both put themselves in a position where no one's really excited for their products right now.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Thunderbolts movie, I think, and that's about it.
So on paper, I'm excited for a lot of things.
Yeah,
but
and I really just want to see Harrison Ford as Ross. Yeah.
They could have just got Sam Elliott again if they really wanted to. They're about the same age.
Oh my god! No. Not that there's anything wrong with Sam Elliott. He's the only one in that movie who's acting.
That's true.
So.
The other thing I had on James Gunn here was interesting to say the least, and I have some thoughts on this. I want to get your thoughts on this. Have you heard about the Fuck James Gunn party?
Nope.
Okay, so this is an interesting tidbit here. So there's a book that just came out recently called MCU: The Reign of Marvel Studios.
Okay.
And this book was written by several. It looks like about three or four authors here who share details about the franchise. And there's a few things here that were quite interesting that they share here. But one of those tidbits that they put in this book says that James Gunn didn't want to give his co-writer Nicole Perlman credit on the film. It says that Perlman, however, she fought for her credit, and she even threw a fuck James Gunn party after she won. So this shit gets sticky because it says that a friend of Nicole Perlman shared information about the behind-the-scenes drama that went down, and the book alleges that Gunn used bullying tactics to try to keep Perlman out of to keep her name out of the credits, so he could get sole writing credit.
Is this for Guardians?
Yeah, Guardians 1.
Okay.
Yep. Says that Nicole Perlman wrote the original story for the film, and many of her original ideas apparently made it into the final cut, including Star-Lord's backstory. It says she had to fight to keep her name on the credits. And apparently after she won, she threw a fuck James Gunn party. So that whole thing is messy because this book seems messy.
Yeah.
This MCU rise of the Marvel Studios, whatever it's called. First of all, I'm not sure if any of the people who wrote this book actually ever worked for Marvel. I doubt it. I'm sure there's NDAs all over the place.
Right.
And so it seems like the book is made up of secondhand accounts. Secondly, I don't know what James Gunn's side of the story is.
Right.
And thirdly, and then I'm not taking any sides or accusing anyone of anything, but I think maybe the most like Occam's razor is that James Gunn probably did rewrite that entire fucking thing. And maybe there were elements that he rewrote that were similar to what she originally had. And if you come through and rewrite an entire something, like maybe her name should be on the credits, maybe it shouldn't. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I think that maybe they're trying to make this more salacious than it is.
Yeah. Yeah, they're trying to dig deep for anything, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at this point, like, unless it comes out that James Gunn does some horrible shit, I think he's pretty untouchable.
I think so too. And also, it'd be different if he didn't, also write. He wrote Peacemaker in like a week. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And he also wrote he wrote Guardians 3. I don't know what happened in Guardians 2, but he also wrote the Suicide Squad.
They can't all be bangers.
Yeah, they can't all be bangers, you know.
Unless you're Brandon Sanderson, they can't all be bangers.
Yeah. I don't know very many writers who just continuously knock it out of the park every time.
And I wouldn't say all of his are bangers, just like 99% of them.
I mean, I think that's enough to say all.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, trying to be accurate.
Yeah.
Here. My math is mathing.
You know. Yeah, so I'll ease off on the MCU stuff for now. There's still some juicy MCU news, but we'll give them a quick break for a second here. Have you seen the Invincible 2 trailer?
I have not.
Oh, okay.
But it's coming out very soon, right?
November 3rd.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So like that's going to be like right after Gen V ends.
Yeah.
What do you know?
Yeah, Amazon, I assume they timed that on purpose, but
yeah,
that's good timing. Have you seen any of Gen V?
I'm current on Gen V. How about you?
Same, current.
Do we want to talk brief thoughts on that?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Well, before we do that, what are your brief thoughts on the Invincible trailer then?
Yeah, I mean, it looks fantastic.
Does it look like it's sticking along with like how the graphic novels go?
Yeah, I would say like just about as much as maybe season 1 did, which I think that season 1 kept the same elements from the comic books. It just changed some of the orders of operations, but it worked better that way for a TV show. And they were very, very smart in what they did. They made sure they show certain characters, and they made sure that they didn't show some other characters, which was very smart. Because the way that season 1 ends, people are very curious to see what the hell happens, and it didn't hit me until earlier today that season 1 came out was it 3 years ago now?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Shit.
And I've been telling everybody I know to watch that shit.
Oh yeah, same.
I actually probably need to rewatch it soon, right? Maybe right before that comes out.
Yeah,
but I need to check the trailer out. How many Running the Jewels tracks do you think we're gonna get?
If we get 10 episodes, I think that's what we got for the first one season. Let's see. I'll say 4.
Okay. Yeah. No, I haven't seen that yet. I definitely need to check it out.
Yeah, it looks good.
I'm gonna start my Gen V thoughts with what may be a hot take.
Okay.
I think it's better than The Boys.
That is a hot take.
And the reason that I say that is, I feel like The Boys, at least in the later seasons, is trying to do too much, and I think right now, I think this is a smaller cast. Well, I mean, I don't think it is a smaller cast.
Yeah.
And it's more focused on the characters. And I think the setting and everything is just more ideal. I'm more into these characters and their struggles and their stories and things. I feel like maybe Gen V got too heavy too fast. Like, we couldn't even get one episode of them just hanging out at this school and us getting to see kind of like what the training looks like and all that. But I'm not going to hate on that decision. I just think it's an interesting decision, and I would have been interested to know more about that stuff. But maybe in practice, it just wouldn't have worked that well. Maybe having the very first episode go the way it goes is because I'm going to tell you, that first episode was balls to the wall.
Oh yeah,
it starts out with a bunch of death and it ends with a bunch of death.
Yeah,
and. I'm not saying that I think it's like worlds better than The Boys, but I think if you look at how many seasons of The Boys we got now, 4,
3.
I think if you compare all 3 seasons of The Boys to this one season of Gen V, I think I have to put the season of Gen V just slightly above it. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I really dig the show a lot. But man, the main reason why I can't put Gen V over The Boys, and this is just a personal preference, but I don't find the characters as interesting as the characters in The Boys. And I think maybe a part of that is that, for the most part in Gen V, all these characters were created for this show, Whereas the characters from The Boys, they had tons of source material to draw upon for inspiration. So I don't know who on that show I would say, not in terms of like character qualities, but like in terms of like screen dominance and how much they draw me in. I can't say that there is anyone who's like a Homelander. Like, man, every time he's on screen, every time that person's on screen, I'm just hooked. I can't say that there's a Butcher, in this show. That they to the show's, maybe to his credit or to his detriment, all the characters work as one cohesive unit. But like on an individual basis, I don't find really any of them to be overly intriguing to me.
See, to me, Jordan is the standout. I thought Jordan's amazing.
Which one was he again?
The
Jordan.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
I really love Jordan.
Yeah.
I like the entire main cast though.
I
the
like
main four.
Oh man, what's her name? The girl that shrinks. She was the one that was pulling for the most for
Lizzie. Is that her name?
I think so. Yeah.
I had the casting up here a second ago. Emma. Lizzie's her real name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Emma.
Yeah,
that's right, Emma.
Emma kind of has her own arc.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Mm-hmm.
I like Emma. I like how all of their powers, except for Andre, are kind of almost like the what was the show that, like, the anthology that we got?
Oh, Diabolical.
Yeah, they're like halfway between The Boys and like Diabolical.
Yeah.
Like, their powers aren't exactly what would be cool for mainstream.
Yeah.
But they're not like the Justin Roiland episode of Diabolical either.
Right.
Is that the last piece of Justin Roiland content that we got?
Hell, it might be.
I think it is. It's a great episode.
It was.
Tremendous episode. It's my favorite for sure. But
I will say this: what I do really like about Gen V is especially for the first few episodes, I like the mystery that they were setting up.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
I like Marie a lot also.
Which one is Marie? See, I don't even know these people's names.
She's the one with the blood.
With the blood, okay. Yeah. They kind of set her up to be like the lead focal point.
Yeah.
At least from like a focal point for the audience to kind of see what's going on.
And I love how unmarketable her power is.
Oh yeah.
Could
you imagine if that's such a bold and interesting move to take, right? Because you look at like the Boys universe. You can have a Butcher action figure. You can even have a Huey action figure. Queen Maeve is easy. Homelander's easy. They're all pretty easy to do, except for like Translucent. But, but like you can't really. I guess you could make a power. I mean, a toy for these characters. Marie in particular, but it's gonna be tricky.
Well, you just have her like this with the little blood.
Yeah.
Coming out of her hands. You know.
That opening scene with her. Spoiler alert. The opening scene, with her in episode 1 as a kid.
That was something else.
Oh, shit.
And I'll tell you this, too, like, without being too spoilery.
Yeah.
The most recent episode.
Yeah.
There is a trope, and we talked about this a bit. There's a trope that I really hate in any of these TV shows. It's the We're in the Asylum episode.
Yeah.
And I hate it. Supernatural did it like 12 fucking times. Smallville did it.
A lot of TV shows at some point or another get to that.
Yeah. And I hate this because it's always filler.
Yeah.
But I will say
it's supposed to be for character growth, right? But
it always comes across as filler to me. I fucking hate it. I did not mind it in Moon Knight, but I still didn't want it there. I still would have preferred something else. I understand that it makes complete sense to have it in that show.
Yeah.
But I will say that this most recent episode was kind of that trope with a little twist on it, and I did not mind it. I actually really enjoyed it, and it did actually have a lot of character growth. You actually got a lot more backstory on all these characters.
Right.
So I applaud them for pulling that off because I don't think any show has ever done that, and I wasn't just like, oh, God, this.
Yeah.
So Legion was very hard for me to watch. It's the whole show.
I can see that. But Legion was actually really good. But
I agree.
You really have to sit down and focus on that one.
Yeah, that's not some shit you can just have playing in the background.
No.
You know? It's not The Office.
Yeah. Jordan's power, they're different when they're masculine versus when they're feminine, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's two different actors.
Yeah.
I really love them. Like they're my favorite character for sure.
Yeah, I wish that, and again, maybe the show, like you said, hit the gas pedal a little too hard on episode 1, but I do wish that some of those characters had more time to breathe before we kind of jump into the shit, because like seeing Jordan and like the issues that they struggle with, I'm like, that shit's fucking deep. And especially like being number 2, to go to literally the golden boy, like it's gotta fucking suck. And in this latest episode, kind of laid bare a lot of all of their personal demons and issues,
And I really like that. Like, I mean, Jordan in particular, I really like the way that their powers work and kind of like their struggle and everything. And I agree with you. When they come out of the gate so hot, it's like the first episode is so plot focused. You're like, okay, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And you're thinking, Golden Boy is going to be like central character or whatever.
Yeah.
All kind of shit goes nuts in the first episode. And then they have to keep that plot going. And then while they're doing that, they have to now circle back around and go, this is who these characters are.
Yeah. And
it's messy. And I'm not saying they're not pulling it off. But I'm saying it's not how I would have chosen to do it, because it is a tight. They're walking a tightrope,
They are, and like I still thoroughly enjoy the show.
Yeah.
But I did find myself thinking after watching the most recent episode that, man, so they gave me this really interesting plot first, and now they're giving me more about the characters, but I want to know what the fuck is happening with this plot.
I will say this too though, and I don't know if this was their intent or not. They have made a CW style show that is actually good. It almost feels like a giant middle finger to all the CW shit. Supernatural, Riverdale, all the CW Arrowverse shit. Because it is that kind of tone. I know at least 2 people that have no interest in the boys that are watching Gen V and enjoying it. So
wow.
Yeah.
That is an excellent point. One that I maybe subconsciously chose to not think about.
Yeah. They're going to attract, I mean, they're not going to be the same exact audience.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's very cool. And smart on Amazon's part. I don't get to say that a lot. I don't get to say that a lot about most studios these days.
Yeah.
But you look at, the way that the characters have kind of unfolded, and I just really like that all of them are imperfect, Now, granted, I'm not saying that in The Boys that any of them are, but in The Boys, it's like it seems to be a lot more black and white. You obviously have some grays in there. Butcher. Yeah. In this most recent season, Huey has started to go that route.
Right.
Maeve, but other than that, it's like, Homelander, fucking awful fucking guy.
Yeah.
The way that Noir has kind of been portrayed, tragic backstory, but he seems to be a dickbag now. Like, it's just
he's
kind
also
of
dead. So.
Well, that's true. But Lamplighter, complete dickbag.
Right.
But with this, it's like these characters that are seen as the kind of protagonists, whatever, they are quite flawed. And with this last episode, I don't think this is too big of a spoiler. We're left kind of wondering if Marie's actions in the opening moments of the show are as unintentional as she says.
Yeah.
Like, clearly she didn't mean for that outcome, but did she have, like, that kind of, like, anger or whatever when it happened?
Right.
Like, was it a result of anger or just, I can't control my powers? Because the way that they originally played it for you, it's, I just can't control these powers I don't know I have. But then now we're kind of seeing, like, okay, well, it was anger, and then you realized what you did and were remorseful instantly, and that's two different things.
That's true, and I caught that, and I was like, okay, so you guys are hooking me again, because like again, I've thoroughly enjoyed all the episodes, but this one, I did kind of start to drift a little bit just because I want to get back to kind of the meat of what we're doing here because we're 6 episodes in.
Yeah.
And
it's probably 8, right?
Yeah, probably 8, maybe 10 at the most. But I'm like, either way, we're over the halfway mark, and like I really got to see, let's get to the goods here. But the ending did a good job of bringing me back in. So
I like that they really portrayed. I like how they portrayed Jordan in that too, where it's like, yeah, Jordan was down to do some shady shit to be number 1 or to hold on to number 2,
right?
So I think the only person, I mean, and then we got some revelations about Andre also. I think if anybody is going to get promoted to the 7, it's probably him.
You think so?
I mean, if like that's who like Vaught would choose. He has the most marketable ability.
That's true. Yeah. Trying to think about like, it would have to be him. Man, I tell you, I feel so bad for you. What's her name? The chick that can Purple Man powers with touch.
Kate,
yeah. Man, she'd make a great fucking spy. You know what I mean? If they had like a Black Widow program, she'd be prime for that.
She's got damn near Xavier powers. She has to touch you.
Yeah.
But she wasn't touching them when she like sucked them into her dream though.
Yeah, and they were like they didn't know that she could do that.
I don't know that she knew she could do that.
That's true.
So yeah, I mean she might just straight up have some crazy Xavier powers.
Yeah, that's terrifying. Like I am not with Senator Kelly from the X-Men, but you might have to do something with people like that, that type of power. Like, you can't be wandering the streets,
right? I think we talked about that enough. Before we can't, we're going to review that, right?
Yeah.
So
yes, we will. Whenever season finale airs, I need to look at that. But yeah.
So I want to get your thoughts on this. This was big news over the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
The Microsoft and Activision merger is officially completed. It's a done deal. And as we talked about before, Activision published a lot of great superhero games in the past. Now, obviously, like for them to republish those, I think new licensing deals and things had to be struck. Any of the Spider-Man stuff, like the old like Web of Shadows, it's probably not like Sony's probably not interested, right?
Right.
Especially not since they're just going to put them on fucking Game Pass. Like they're not going to.
Yeah.
But like Wolverine's Origin and like Ultimate Alliance and stuff like that, it's possible. But what are your thoughts on that, like kind of as a whole?
I think that for both companies, both Activision and Microsoft, this was a good move. Microsoft has so much capital, they can continue to make moves like that.
Yeah.
And again, like they absolutely should. As someone who owns and plays both, current Xboxes and PlayStations, I can say that I see the differences between the two. And the reason why Activision is such a good move for them is because for years, and it's going to continue to be that way, it looks like, if you want a good online multiplayer experience, you have to go Xbox. And typically, if you want a better linear story experience, you tend to side with PlayStation. And I think that's gonna just continue that divide. The downside is that the current head of Microsoft, forget this guy's name, I think is he about to step down? Anyway,
they have the gaming division.
Yeah,
Phil Spencer.
I mean, I'm sorry, I meant to say Sony.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck Jim Ryan. Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah, that guy he's just a soulless corporate chill.
I fucking hate him, dude.
And he has no idea about gaming. He may know a lot about business, but he has no idea about gaming. And so instead of looking to enhance the playing experience. He's just looking to compete.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, he wants to. He's looking to harm Nintendo and Xbox to further the PlayStation brand, and it's like, I'm more of an Xbox guy, but I've owned every fucking PlayStation ever.
Yeah.
And enjoyed, other than the 3, most of them. So it's not like I'm this fucking fanboy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just prefer certain things. Now, that being said, it's like Sony didn't get into the position they got in by doing shit like that.
Yeah.
Exclusives are fine, whatever. I don't like them. I don't think they're good for gamers, but I understand why they exist, and they're going to continue to exist. It's just the nature of the beast. However, you take, like, when the PlayStation 3 came out against the Xbox 360, the 360 was killing it, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the 360 was the best place to go for any of the stuff you just talked about, unless you just had to play Metal Gear Solid 4, or God of War 3.
Yeah, well, you could just watch one of those on YouTube.
Yeah, you just watch that one on YouTube. And God of War 3 was, I guess, worth, if you thought it was worth spending $600,
Yeah, you're right. That was, I think that was probably the darkest age for the PlayStation brand, was the PS3 era, just because they had, the online capabilities definitely with the Xbox, like we said, and in terms of exclusives, there really weren't any to brag about on the PS3 era.
You remember when the PlayStation Network was down for like 40 days or whatever? That's so hard to imagine now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But Sony didn't get ahead by smearing Xbox.
Yeah.
At the tail end of the PS3 era, they had Naughty Dog go in, and they had cultivated The Last of Us.
Right. That was
They
at the
bet
tail end of
big on that.
Yep.
They came out with the PS4. It was a more powerful system than the Xbox had at the time. They had worked out the shit with the online, and they had set up, like, every 6 months you're going to get a banger exclusive.
Right.
And that's how they built this massive brand. And then, coming into the 5, I'll be honest, Spider-Man, like, the only real exclusives on the PS5 that I think are incredible is Spider-Man 2 and God of War Ragnarok. And both of those are sequels. Whatever. I'm fine with putting Forbidden West in that category. I think it's a great game. I wouldn't go incredible, but I think it's a great game. I think it and Ragnarok were both held back by the fact that they had to be on PS4 as well. But going into that, it's like I think they're gonna be in trouble. It's like thankfully Jim Ryan is stepping down, but Jim Ryan spent millions of Sony's dollars lobbying the FTC to fight this Activision acquisition.
Right.
Almost screwed PlayStation entirely, because what was going to happen is Microsoft was like, "Hey, look, we're gonna offer you a deal to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation in the same graphics, with the same maps, same features, 100% the exact same game we're going to release on Xbox, day and date, for 10 years." And instead of signing that shit, he was like, "Oh, well, we're going to spend all this money and hire all these legal teams to fight your merger." They had no legal basis to do so.
Yeah.
And they lost their ass. And I guarantee you that's why he's quote-unquote stepping down.
Yeah.
Because he made them look like complete morons in front of everyone. And this is nothing against PlayStation fans. Like, I fucking got a PS5 at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to play these games too. I'm just saying Jim Ryan made the brand look terrible.
Yeah.
So I hope that whoever they bring in is a little more gamer-minded, because Phil Spencer over at Xbox, I don't like shit that Xbox has come out with in a while. They had
oh yeah, what's that that Bethesda game that came
They had
out?
Hi-Fi Rush, which was like one of those things that it was like E3 or whatever the fuck, and they were just like, "Hey, here's Hi-Fi Rush." And that was like they announced the game that day, and they were like, "And you can download it like right now."
I'm glad you knew which Bethesda game I was talking about because I just realized that I could have meant something else.
Both those Bethesda games are trash. both of their major. So they came out. So Xbox exclusives this year. They had Forza, which is excellent, but it's niche, right? Like it's like Flight Simulator is the best flight simulator game. I know people that spend $6,000 on their computer to play Flight Simulator, and that's it.
Holy shit!
Yeah. There's like a hobbyist element to that where it's like its own business. By all means, like if you like racers, Forza Motorsport is worlds ahead of Gran Turismo now. I don't even really like racing games, but like I spent countless hours on Gran Turismo 2 back in the day.
It was 3 for me, yeah.
Yeah, but after 3, it went downhill. I loved 3 as well, but 2 is the one they hooked me with.
Yeah.
But you know, they have Forza, but like Redfall and Starfield were their other 2 big releases.
Yeah.
And Redfall is nearly unplayable garbage. And Starfield is nearly unplayable garbage.
God damn.
So, you know, it's like, so really, if Sony, really what Sony needs to do is just stick to their guns and put out good games.
Yeah, and that was my whole point, you know what I mean? Like, just, like, this whole petty bullshit, just do what you do, you know what I mean? And you know, and you'll continue to find, you know, relative success. So, I don't know. I think that the console is interesting, right? Because like we don't really talk much about Nintendo, but Nintendo, I mean, say what you will, they sell a lot. You know, they have their fan base, and their fan base is pretty fucking ravenous.
I think it's because Nintendo is a different industry almost. Like, yeah, I mean, the Switch at this point it's not competing, right? Like,
yeah, right, in
like
terms of
the Mortal Kombat incident. Good God.
I didn't believe it when I first saw. I was like, who put out this fucking fake ass clickbait article?
But it's real. Yeah, it's damn real.
If you guys know what we're talking about, just go look up
MK1 Switch edition.
Have a blast. And
it is awful. But you know, it's way past time for them to come out with something better. But it's like you said, Nintendo is like almost its own industry. It's its own deal. And you're right. Their gamers will buy just about any fucking thing they put out.
Yeah. It's like, just for shits and giggles from time to time, you know, you look at the numbers, you know, and it's like, holy shit. Like, maybe it's because I don't own a Nintendo. Nothing against them. Again, they're just not really marketed towards me, per se. But I'm like, man, they are selling their asses off, you know, in terms of like their numbers and whatnot. And, you know, it's like, their whole idea is they're so creative to either their benefit or their detriment. You know, they love to be outside the box and to be kind of niche, but they also at the same time stick to their guns. You're gonna get a new Mario, you're gonna get a new Zelda, you know, you're gonna get a new Smash, and
Mario Kart.
Yeah, you're gonna get a new Mario Kart. You know, and they're gonna do their damnedest to make those both familiar and innovative. You know,
right?
So it's hard to take anything away from them. But like in terms of like the PlayStation and Xbox era, I guess my original point was that I don't know what the console war looks like 10 years from now. You know,
well, 10 years from now, it looks like Call of Duty as an Xbox exclusive. 'Cause that's how long those deals are.
Yeah,
and that's going to be a big thing. I mean, I think that Sony will immediately put a lot of money into a replacement for Call of Duty. Maybe they'll.
I think so too.
Maybe they'll revive. What was
Battlefield?
that? No, Battlefield is. Yeah, Battlefield is bad. 2042 or whatever. I played that shit in like the beta and stuff when it came out, and like that game was god awful. They had their own
Medal of Honor.
No, this was an in-house Sony game that they had for a little while. Jesus, what's it called? Let's see. PlayStation.
Oh, shit.
First-person shooter.
Was it around the PS3 era?
Yeah, that was the year.
What's the name of that?
as soon as I see it, I'm gonna be like, damn it.
Resistance?
Yeah, Resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they may try to revive that, because didn't they make like 3 of those?
I think they did. I played one of them, and it was a good game. Yeah, that might be the move, but that's going to take so much time and money. But I mean, I guess either way it would. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they got 10 years.
Yeah,
so
figure it out.
I mean, either that or they'll buy EA, which I've heard is for sale. While we're talking about the video game thing, it's heavily rumored, that Square Enix is going to be gobbled up because it took a giant stock price hit. Coincidentally, at the same time, I've heard a lot of rumors that Disney may be looking to get into the video game business, like straight up. That they may be looking to have like an in-house video game developer. They already work closely with Square Enix. It would be easy for Disney just to be like, well, come on in and buy them. You know? Like, y'all about to put out Kingdom Hearts forever.
Yeah.
So,
like, I didn't know if you meant like they will forever put out Kingdom Hearts game or if that's the name of their next game. Both could be correct.
I mean, yeah. Well, you'd have Forever Point 4 and then Forever Point 9.
396 days till forever.
Yeah. Whole deal. What else you got, man?
Yeah.
We've been on video games like half the night, I think.
This next one I thought was really fucking interesting, and I ignored it at first because I was like, "There's no way," but I've been seeing more and more reports about this. We'll see what happens in the coming years if this is true or not. But it is allegedly reported that the MCU plans on doing a soft reboot after Secret Wars.
Oh,
yeah, and again, I've just seen this all over the place, and so I was like, I have to, damn sure I have to definitely talk about this. So basically, the notes on this is that Kevin Feige has reportedly suggested that the MCU may reboot after Avengers: Secret Wars. The soft reboot would allow Marvel to streamline their timelines, eliminate what's not working, and potentially bring back beloved characters. This could be a game changer for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which Feige says has only scratched the surface of the story potential for Marvel Comics. So,
I agree with some of those words.
Yeah, same.
I do feel like they've only scratched the surface of what they could do. I mean, if you think about every banger title in and storyline that Marvel has ever run, and they have everyone now for the most part. Yeah. Okay. Here's my thing. I do not like the idea of a soft reboot. I don't like the idea of any kind of reboot for Marvel at this point. What I want them to do is make me give a shit about what they already have. If they can't do that and the soft reboot will fix it, fine. Like if Phase 6 sucks, I don't want to see the X-Men in there.
Right.
Soft reboot with the X-Men. I'm fine with that. But they're already going to introduce Fantastic Four right before Secret Wars.
Yep.
So are you going to give us a Fantastic Four and then immediately shit on them? I guess if they just wanted to keep just them and nothing else, they could spin that,
Yeah.
But I guess that's the team to do it with.
Yeah, that's true. So, like you, there are things that I like about this and things that I don't. For me, just like you said, I don't want them to have to do a soft reboot. And if I'm being honest, I don't like the idea of a soft reboot. If you're going to reboot, then reboot. You know what I mean? But with that being said, though, if you're going to do a soft reboot, fine. Like you say, if you think it'll fix your problems. But I don't like you saying soft reboot and then also say bring back some familiar faces.
Right. Like, we can't make it work without Captain America and Iron Man.
Exactly, yeah. And like, if that's what you're implying, then you're doomed.
Yeah. Because they have some of the... Like, Tony and Steve have some of the best arcs in cinematic history.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, Tony Stark is in what? 7, 8 films.
Just about, yeah.
Cap as well. I mean, you just can't, like, the arcs that those characters go on, where they start, and like when they first meet each other in Avengers 1, and the way that they interact, and like the people they are then, versus how their stories finish in Endgame.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Right.
And like the only way I was okay with bringing back Steve Rogers, which it seems like they're not going to fucking do, would be for him to be the villain in Cap 4.
Yep.
That's it. That's a great use of the multiverse.
Yeah.
Because the way you could make that affect both the audience and the characters,
Right.
you know, would be amazing.
Yeah.
If you do it right. But man, it's like you said, if they can't make the MCU without Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, they're fucked.
Yeah.
They can't make it at all then.
Yeah.
I guess the entire Fox universe was just all them rolling 20s, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it was all luck. Every day
Right.
they just came in, and they're like, one, Apocalypse. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know?
We'll try. We'll try again.
Well, Apocalypse is not a 1. The
That's
movie's
true.
not that bad.
Yeah,
Fucking X3 is a 1.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? X3, and then, well, they didn't always roll 20s. Like the thing that killed them, you know, Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix was a 1.
Yeah, that was definitely
Like, Dark Phoenix was that thing where it's like, well, I mean, it's gonna be better than X3, and then it fucking ain't. Like, if you give me the choice to like watch one of those two movies, I'm gonna pick X3 every time.
I think I'm gonna jump out the window.
I will watch X3 for Kelsey Grammer's Beast, who I really love.
Yeah.
And that's it. But I can't say I really love anything in fucking
Right.
in Dark Phoenix.
Best live action Beast. No disrespect to Nicholas Hoult, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nicholas Hoult did an okay job. I think he did a good job, particularly in Days of Future Past. But everyone did a great job in that.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like it was a competent, great movie.
Yeah. But yeah, this whole reboot thing, you have to also wonder, like, was this inspired from, like, well, DC, like, their ship is sinking and they're hitting the reboot button.
Their ship has been sinking since they built it.
Yeah.
It was like Man of
Right.
Steel. Hey, that's a great ship. I think there's a hole in it, though.
Yeah, we should get a new ship. We can get some duct tape.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been shoveling water out of that boat. So it's just Zack Snyder standing on the boat with a bucket, and he's pouring water over the edge, and then he turns around, and then another hole pops up called Batman versus Superman, and he's like, "I got 2 buckets, we're good." And then by the time the fucking Justice League comes out, they're like, "Yeah, man, you know the problem here is Zack Snyder. It's not the water, it's him." Get out of here, Zach.
Yeah.
And then it's just Joss Whedon
Right.
and a bunch of DC executives standing in the boat, just like, I can't figure out what the problem here. As like the water rises, you know.
And then eventually, you know, they get like David Zaslav, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna get the Peter Safran and James are gonna take a look at this boat, and they're like, yeah, dog, we need a new boat.
yeah, that's the problem. This boat's like sitting on the bottom of the ocean floor. You know.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be cheaper at this point to cut all losses and just get a whole new boat.
Yeah. Whereas Marvel had a fucking nice boat, and then they put the holes in it.
Yeah, they're like, this boat is good, but what if he shot a cannon through this side right here? I think that'd give us some forward momentum.
Yeah, nobody's done that.
Yeah.
I like our metaphor here. It's very fitting. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like they're gonna do what they always do. They're gonna wait and see how it goes for DC. Mm-hmm. I think if DC does this little reboot and like starts to really compete with them, I mean, honestly, if I'm James Gunn, I'm seeing red right now. Mm-hmm. The blood is in the water.
Yeah.
If you're gonna bring the superhero genre back to any sort of prominence, this is where you do it. Mm-hmm. You know,
it comes a point, and you know, again, maybe Marvel will be able to do this, but DC was not. But that is like, there comes a point, right, where it's like the point of no return, where either we can release a series of good movies that are cohesive, that tie together, and that are like really solid films on their own and build our universe, and that can turn the tide. DC could not pull that off, so therefore they have to start over. And it's like with Marvel, I don't want to throw away the entirety of Phase 4, but I mean, goddamn, if I had to throw away a fucking phase, you know what I mean? That'd be the one. But it's like, if they do indeed reach that point of, okay, we can't turn this ship around, we got to start over, then that may be the only plausible option, like in terms of like the date that this may happen. They're saying that the upcoming Avengers 6 will close out the currently announced slate of upcoming Marvel movies on May 7th, 2027. So I knew that Avengers had been pushed back again. I didn't know it was that far away.
Yeah.
But
we are like right in the middle between Endgame and that right now.
Yeah.
We have another 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, if the next 4 years isn't better than the last 4 years, fine, fucking pull the plug.
Mm-hmm. But also the issue is that, like, it's a risk, right? Because if you wait 4 years to pull the plug and you can't increase interest, then, I mean, you're really going to have to make some noise when you do this reboot. You know what I mean?
I mean, I said it from jump when they started to struggle with Phase 4. It's like, they're not I mean, I think general audiences have superhero fatigue, but not in the sense that word usually normally gets used. They have shitty movie fatigue.
Yeah.
They have same fucking movie we've seen 90 times fatigue.
Right.
Blue Beetle. Fucking Christ, my guy.
Yeah. That movie was kept in the time vault.
Yeah, if Blue Beetle came out in 2003, it would be the bee's fucking knees.
It'd be the Beatles' knees.
Yeah, the Beatles' knees. Yeah. But that shit came out in 2023, and I'm pretty sure an AI wrote it. And it's something. But check out our review on that.
Yeah, it's a good time.
But it's like, they're not in trouble until they come out with an Avengers movie and it flops.
That is true. I bet also Avengers 6, that's at the end of whatever phase that'll be. Is that still Phase 5? Or Phase 6? That's Phase 6.
Phase 6, yeah. But both Avengers movies are in Phase 6.
That's true, yeah.
So there's Avengers 5 and 6.
Yeah.
If they come out with an Avengers movie and it does poorly, that's the writing on the wall, and I'd be like, you know what? Fucking reboot it. But if you're gonna reboot it, man, and I hate to say this because I've spent so much time on the man's nuts. If they have to do the soft reboot, get rid of Kevin Feige. Because I mean, obviously, Kevin Feige had several. I mean, at that point, it will be 8 years since Endgame to do something compelling. And I'm going to tell you right now, if I started absolutely sucking ass at my job, they ain't going to let me do it for 8 years.
I mean, the way that Bob Iger is functioning right now, I think that he gave Feige the order to execute Order 66. Firing all those people. I mean, Iger's been firing people himself.
Yeah,
but yeah, so I think that they definitely recognize, that there's some fires they need to put out, and they need to fucking get to work.
Studios are losing all this money.
Yeah,
because the actors are still on strike. Nothing is being made.
Right,
like things haven't been actively produced in months, and it's going to be probably another month or two before that. They get into full swing. Like, I don't know if you have this on your list, but Deadpool 3 is in jeopardy of getting pushed back again. Yeah. So, because they were supposed to resume filming this month, and that's not going to happen now. Yeah, and it sucks that the strike is still going on, because you think that by now, I mean, come on, how long can Hollywood hold out? You know what I mean? I mean, they already gave in on the writers. Yeah, on the writers. Yeah. And the crazy thing about it is the writers basically got everything that they fucking asked for originally. So all you guys did was piss away a bunch of money and waste everybody's time.
Right.
And delay the fucking Suits reboot.
Is that gonna be on? Is it Netflix or where is that gonna be?
I mean, here's the thing. I don't want to derail us, but I mean, Suits is the number one streaming show on the planet, which is so crazy.
Right.
It's a great show, and they have officially announced that they're working on a reboot, or not a reboot necessarily, but it's going to be a spin-off, same type of show, and I don't know if they're going to try to do like a universe with it. I don't know if they're going to try to bring the characters back, because like the thing is, so many of those characters have these really great arcs, right? You spend a lot of time with these characters, and it's kind of like sort of like cameos and stuff like that. I don't know what all you would do. There's a couple angles they could do. I can't talk about any of them without spoiling the shit out of everything, so I won't. But the problem though is the original show aired on USA, and no one saw it. I mean, people watched it. I mean, it got 8 seasons. Or maybe 9 seasons. I think it's 9. So like, people watch it, but so I wonder if if it's gonna be just a Peacock thing, and not like a straight for USA. Or I mean, they could put it on both.
Yeah.
So, they could air it on USA, and you can also watch it on Peacock. But I gotta wonder if NBC's just like, did we fuck up? Because it's like the show's been on Peacock for years. It wasn't until they put it on Netflix then Netflix stuck it in that like trending, like this is hot new on Netflix, and it was number one for like, it set the record for like most weeks at number one.
Right.
So, I mean, I think the visibility and the popularity of Netflix has a lot to do with it. So it's like, if you're NBC, do you sell the IP to Netflix and just make the buck and get out of it? Because, right now is the time when they could get the most money for it. Or do you find a way to produce the content yourself and still make money off of it? Because that's where the real challenge is. Like, can they actually capitalize themselves? They're not making any money off how much Netflix streams it.
Right.
Netflix probably paid them a lump sum to have the show for this amount of time.
Yeah, like they typically do.
So, I mean, I guess what you do, if it were me, I would put it on USA and Peacock for like until the season was over, and then put the season on Netflix.
Right.
Get the money, double dip.
Yeah.
So
that might be the way to go. You know what? That reminds me of not going on another tangent, but that's what AMC did with Better Call Saul. Because it was coming on AMC, obviously, like the station, the channel, and then it was also being put on the AMC app. But then they, after the season was over, then they dropped that shit on Netflix, which is where I finally got to watch it at. So not a bad call.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, Jesus Christ, that was loud.
It sounds a lot worse on the microphones when I drop my phone 2 inches.
I do want to ask.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new Rick and Morty episode?
I have not. I can't. I told myself I was gonna watch it, but now that it's here, I'm like, I don't know if I can.
I was very much like, I'm not gonna watch that shit. Mm-hmm. Okay, so to quickly jump from this, Rick's voice is a little off, just a tad though, and I don't know if that's my subconscious telling me that it's off, or if it's really off. It's that close that I'm not sure if it's just because I know it's different. Morty is perfect, 100%. Whoever they got to voice Mr. Poopy Butthole, though.
Yeah.
And if you've never seen Rick and Morty, you're like,
what did you just say?
Did you just say? But whoever they got to voice Mr. Poopy Butthole is absolutely dreadful.
Oh, really?
Like they fucked his voice all up. But I will say I did really enjoy the new episode.
Is it good? Okay.
Yeah. So worry not.
Okay. Yeah. Is that on the Plex yet?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I will say too. You mentioned AMC, and this made me think about this.
Yeah.
And this kind of goes into the whole like future of theaters, right? But Christopher Nolan recently commented on the Taylor Swift movie. Did you see this? Have you heard about this?
I saw the post. I didn't read it though. What was it about?
So basically, what happened with this Taylor Swift movie is, rather than going to the Hollywood studios to produce it, they went straight to AMC, and AMC is distributing. Yeah. So AMC basically, and it's not playing exclusively in AMC theaters or anything. AMC is making the money. They're like, yeah, fuck yeah, like Regal, you guys want this? Here, come get it.
Right.
So she went straight to AMC, and AMC is distributing it themselves, and they are making like they are laughing all the way to the bank. And Christopher Nolan came out and said, "Look, these movie theaters are an important part of our culture, and it's people love going to the movies. You know, it's a shared experience,
right?
And it's just something that you can't get anywhere else." And he was like, if the studios don't want that space, other people will take it. And he's like, AMC and Taylor Swift are laughing all the way to the bank because the split is like the split's like 60-40 AMC and Taylor.
Holy shit!
But if you look at it, like AMC is making a fuck ton off of this deal because they didn't have to do anything.
Right?
You know?
just distribute.
Yeah, and she's gonna make about $40 million. Like the opening weekend box office is like $140 million globally.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's. Yeah.
And it's just a recording of concerts she already was gonna do anyway that she already made a shit ton of money
right.
off of. So I don't want to spend too much time on that, but like I just thought that it was incredible that she pulled that off and that Christopher Nolan came out and actually like congratulated them on that move because like, you know, like Disney and these other places, they're trying to focus so much on these damn streaming networks.
Right.
And it's like you guys were over here putting out $1 billion a quarter or more, and then it's just like, yeah, but we want to make this shit for our streaming network that we just, you know, we're here losing money on.
Yeah, hand over fist, losing money.
And that we have no real way of saying we made this much money off of this thing.
Right.
Disney Plus, I think, is about to be in trouble. Because if you look at it, all they have is a Marvel show, a Star Wars show, a Marvel show, a Star Wars show. And less than 50% of that has been good.
Right.
They're in trouble, man.
They are. And I don't know if you saw, but they, since the D Plus app was first released, they have lost a shit ton of subscribers. Just a metric shit ton.
I wouldn't have it if I didn't get it through my phone plan.
Yeah, you know, and I was thinking like, man, I got your Plex. I'm like, man, I don't. Because like originally, like when I first got it, I was hyped for it. I was like, man, I got the entire Marvel library here. I got the Disney Pixar classics. You know, I know I'll dig those. And then I got this new stuff coming out. You know, for Star Wars and Marvel. So you know, these new TV shows sound fucking amazing. And I can definitely say that I've thoroughly enjoyed most of Mandalorian and Ahsoka. So you know, there's that. Yeah, in terms of like their streaming revenue, I mean, Kevin Feige's finally admitted, you know, it's been too much, too soon, too fast.
Yeah, I haven't watched a single millisecond of Secret Invasion. I probably never will.
I mean, you don't have to.
I haven't watched any of Loki, and unless you ask me to come review it with you, I probably won't. I'll be honest.
You know, but funny enough, I was going to say the same shit. I was like, unless somebody asked me to review Loki, which by the way, homies, don't you fucking ask me to review Loki.
Please flood the comments, the social media. Be like, please, we need a Loki season 2 review. Beg him.
No, don't do it, because if they do, I'm just gonna ask you to do it with me.
Oh yeah. Well, I got plans that week, so I can't.
This next piece of news is another hot rumor going around, and by God, do I hope it's true. Yeah, I don't know if you heard this one or not, but this is the latest rumor. Brie Larson is rumored to be done with the role of Captain Marvel.
I didn't know this was a. Yeah. It's a celebration. I was unaware this was a celebratory episode. I thought this was just a comic news episode. I didn't know we were here to celebrate something.
Yeah.
That's like just short of they fired Kathleen Kennedy. You know what I mean?
That's damn near like Victoria Alonso type news. You know? Oh, holy shit!
I mean, at least she's self-aware.
That's true.
There was that interview that came out a while back where somebody asked if she was going to keep doing it, and she was like, "Well, does anyone want me to?"
Yeah.
And no one came out and was like, "We want you to." No,
right.
It's like, no. I mean, here's my thing. It's like, even if you don't love Kamala, everybody really likes Iman Vellani.
Yeah.
You just can't not. Right. She's great.
Yeah.
And, I really like the actress that plays Monica Rambeau as well. I thought she did a great job in what she had in WandaVision. Mm-hmm. People actively fucking dislike Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
They cast her so poorly. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they did it because, someone thought she's attractive. I don't know if they did it because they just thought that she kind of resembled the character from the comic a bit.
I theorized that either she had some dirt on Kevin Feige or she was sucking his dick. It's one of the two.
I mean, I feel like she probably doesn't give good head. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of that.
It's super unenthusiastic, I can imagine.
Yeah, I get a feeling that it's not great.
One time, this is right after the 2020 Mulan movie came out, but I was like, all right, Kevin, we're gonna play a game of Marry, Fuck, Kill. We got the new Mulan, Captain Marvel, and Rey Palpatine.
Oh my god!
And I was like, what are you doing? And I remember my picks were as much as I had to say it, I'm gonna have to marry Rey because that bitch can do anything. Hey, you need this fucking spaceship repair that you've never set foot on before. She can do that shit. You know what I mean? You need to learn how to do some shit like it's been downloaded into your brain from the Matrix. She can do that shit. She can do anything. Now, I mean, like a lot of marriages, I'm sure to be very strained because she's gonna get on my fucking nerves. I said, I'm going to fuck Mulan because at least she has superpowers that make her extremely acrobatic. That might be fun. And I was like, I'm going to have to kill Captain Marvel, man, because I feel like she's going to lay there with her arms folded. You know what I mean? I can't do nothing with it.
Here's the thing. Yeah. I honestly think I would marry the new Mulan.
Okay.
I would fuck Captain Marvel. Unfortunately. It might be lame, but whatever. And this would I would be very happy with all of it just because I would get to kill Mary Sue Palpatine.
God damn.
And because it's a Star Wars rule set, I'm gonna have to get a vat full of lava and slowly lower her down into it and then seal that vat and then toss that shit off into space.
Right.
Just to make absolutely sure.
Just to be sure. But even then, it still might not be enough.
No, they'll have a Disney Plus show in 15 years that opens with some fucking space Jawas finding that shit and unsealing it.
Bro, that's a lot of thought. I thought they would just say somehow she
returned. Yeah, my bad. I'm thinking way too much into this.
So it states here that Brie Larson allegedly wants to step away from playing Captain Marvel in the MCU because of the quote-unquote toxic backlash. So there's, again, several different articles about it. I just picked this one right here. It says there were rumors spreading online about how the actress was somewhat difficult to work with, along with some interview clips during the promotional tours for the film that caused fans to lash out at her. This is for the first Captain Marvel movie. Larson has brushed off the backlash, saying, "I don't have time for it." And again, this is from that fucking book. But it looks like the backlash is taking a toll on Brie Larson. It's crazy to think, right, that Kevin Feige, in his mind, literally had her as part of like the new MCU Trinity, and I could not believe that was part of this plan. And again, like, it just really went to show that, like, I mean, it's too coincidental, right? He was like, "What DC Comics has a Trinity, you know? And it's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Well, you know, we need that. We need."
Well, and they had one.
They had one, and then their arc finished. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was. But out of the ones he could have picked, you know,
Spider-Man is smart.
Yep.
I can see Stephen Strange.
Mm-hmm. He originally had T'Challa. I get that, and unfortunately, what happened. But, you know, Captain Marvel?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think Shang-Chi would have made it better.
Yeah.
You know, a better option. Or, I mean, pretty much literally anyone. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I started thinking, and I was like, well, Hawkeye works. Kamala works.
We can literally pick anyone.
Yeah, I mean, other than like, I think Jennifer would do a better fucking job, honestly, because I don't like the writing for the show, but I never thought that she did a horrible job herself. You know,
Tatiana Maslany, I think she's incredible. You know? I mean, again, like her work in Orphan Black, that TV show, top notch.
I think, honestly, what she did to elevate the very, sometimes insanely cringe writing for that show was masterful. Because, like, that show is bad, but, like, without someone of her caliber in the lead role, it would be even worse.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But, so, you know, if Brie Larson is done, I do seriously and sincerely want to say that it does suck that there are people out there who just don't want to see a female character in a position of power.
While I do agree with that is definitely there, I just want to point out that she calls it toxic backlash.
Yeah.
And while I understand that there is probably some of that, right? And fuck those people, for the record.
Yep.
But it's like the very small but vocal fans of the sequels called all of the detractors toxic.
Yeah.
Didn't matter what we said, it was toxic. Yeah. Didn't matter what our actual motivations were, it was toxic. But it's very odd to me that I guess all the toxic, like, detractors were very busy when Ahsoka was on.
Right.
And just weren't out there.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, there's a very powerful, probably the second most powerful Force user right now, at least in the top 5 alive in the galaxy, like, black woman playing a role that has hundreds of hours of screen time, right? And there was, like, no backlash to that whatsoever.
It's like universal praise.
Yeah.
Like, every time I see something about Ahsoka, it's people gushing over the show, how this is what they want, this is what they've been looking for. It's the difference is just writing, presentation, and acting. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. If Captain Marvel 1 had been what they said it was going to be, first of all, the sequel would have been released long ago. Yeah. Secondly, it would not be an ensemble film.
They had to build 2 likable characters to add to her movie before they could make another one.
Right.
And, like, it seems like they are using yet another one-and-done villain that no one's ever fucking heard of.
Yeah, another one.
Another one.
It needs to be a button. Yeah.
It really does. We'll get sued.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so I say all that just to say that, man, I am sorry, and I do feel bad that she probably has received like legit toxic backlash. But at the end of the day, Captain Marvel 1 was a shitty movie, and she had a reduced role in Endgame. And she was also very, very snide and I hate to use the word, but she was very bitchy to a lot of the fans.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, this movie isn't for you, or this, that, or the third.
She was super unlikable in most of those interviews.
Yeah. It is hilarious if you watch some of those interviews, seeing her interact with Don Cheadle. You're like, I don't think that man likes her at all.
No. Well, she had to be awful to deal with on set.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And I mean, again, take this with a grain of salt, but apparently her and Nia DaCosta, the director for the Marvels, apparently they butted heads quite a bit on set. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. And listen, you don't have to kill off Captain Marvel. She can just fly into a fucking black hole, and
I don't know, man. I think missing the opportunity to have Rogue take her powers is a huge miss. Like
it is. It is a huge miss.
Just pay her to come in and kill her off in the opening 5 minutes or whatever.
Right. and again, not to harp on what could have been or should have been, but I mean, if you think about it, it just would have made so much sense. It would have made such a better movie. You don't have to introduce the whole X-Men. Rogue started off as a villain. You have Rogue be the villain in this movie. You have Rogue take her powers. That's two birds with one stone. You have, first of all, that movie would probably legit make close to $1 billion just off of name value. You got Rogue in this movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now Captain Marvel, her powers are now at a point where it's fucking manageable. You know? And you don't have Superman syndrome, that you did on purpose for some reason. You have a manageable power level superhero who can be hurt, who has threats. And I think that would just make for a much better and compelling movie. How does she deal with that? Now she needs help. She has to learn how to work together with people again. And I mean, it's the story kind of tells itself, but what the fuck do we know?
A good bit, clearly.
One more thing, unless you got something else.
No, I don't have anything else. I think that was all I had.
All right, yeah. So we pretty much talked about everything I have here, except for this last thing, and we'll talk about this for a little bit, just because I think it's funny. Have you heard about the controversy surrounding South Park Into the Pandaverse?
No, I haven't seen a lot. Hey, wait. Is this the new
special coming out?
The new special?
Yep.
I do have one more thing after this. Yeah.
Just really quick, there's been some backlash concerning this, and I think it just highlights the fact that South Park is onto something here. So whenever South Park does a salacious episode, there's always people who lash out, and it's usually the people who feel like they're being targeted. So whether it be Scientologists or whether it be people of certain religious faiths, which I guess is also Scientology.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you could be forgiven for thinking that maybe it wasn't, but okay.
Whether it be super far right wing, or whether it be super far lefties, they've targeted and shat on everyone. And what South Park is good at is holding up a funhouse mirror to society, and that's kind of what makes a lot of these specials so entertaining. But the premise of Into the Pandaverse is there's not enough diversity in South Park, and so the boys are recasted as women of color. Oh God! Yeah, and it looks.
It should have just been Kyle.
They made Cartman a black woman. I think Kenny is now Asian, of some Asian descent.
I have seen the trailer for this. Yeah,
it looks great. And there has been some backlash, but as these things normally go, it's like a vocal minority, I believe. But allegedly, Disney is also very not happy with this at all. And I'm like, man, only the hit dogs holler. That's what my grandpa used to say. So if, in other words, if that motherfucking shoe fits, you gotta have to wear it. And so Disney's not upset. I mean, Disney's not happy about Into the Pandaverse, apparently. But I'm like, this is just
But I mean, their deal isn't with Disney, right? Like Disney's just mad about it.
Yeah, they're just mad about it.
Yeah.
And
Matt and Trey definitely don't give a single shit.
They don't give a single shit. I mean, like this is what they do. Like if you haven't caught on to what they do, they've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean they do not give a shit. They are trying to get canceled. They've been saying for years that they are trying to get canceled.
Right.
And they just keep making more and more money. They signed one of the biggest like content production deals in history.
Right.
Like,
is it still with Comedy Central?
I believe it's with Paramount, who I guess owns them now or something.
Yeah, that's got to be it. Got to be.
But they have a deal with Paramount, and they have another deal though with like Netflix, right, or somebody like that.
I think so.
So they have two deals out there. There's one for a lot of shit for Paramount Plus, and I think the other deal is with Viacom. Don't they own Comedy Central?
Yeah, they own damn near everything. Viacom is huge.
They don't own as much as they used to, but they were getting pretty outrageous there for a while, and then cable like died. So
true. Facts.
So yeah, I mean, obviously they're not going to change anything.
Yeah, no.
My other thing I had, we can talk about it along with this, is actually kind of in that same vein. I don't know if you saw where Jon Stewart had a show on Apple for a little while.
I'm not familiar.
Well, he had like 2 seasons. And it's called like The Problem with Jon Stewart or whatever. It was kind of a. Have you ever seen John Oliver's show on HBO?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that, kind of like not quite the Daily Show, but kind of like his own little personal thing where he just like picks a topic and talks about it. Well, apparently he was going to do episodes in this upcoming season based about AI and about China. And apparently Apple and also like Disney apparently chimed in on this as well. But basically Apple like told them like, hey, your views on this are have to align with Apple's stance on them. And so, of course, he walked. He was like, well, then, eat a dick.
Yeah.
And then left.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I'm sure Dave Chappelle is very proud of him.
Right.
Because they're buddies. And, that was like some news that came out a couple days ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
That's.
I'm sure South Park will touch on this.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to hear about that and be like,
yeah.
I mean, they kind of already did an episode about that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that kind of reminded me, just back to South Park really quick. I think the other reason why Disney was mad, and this is why Disney is currently now trying to sue, apparently. They got wind that South Park, at the beginning of the year, they are releasing another Disney special, apparently. and they're bringing back Mickey. and Disney's trying to get ahead of that and put a stop to that.
As long as it's the fucking, the one that's public domain, there's nothing they can do.
Well, what did they do when it wasn't public domain with Mickey? I mean, because they still got away with it.
Well, because they never said Mickey Mouse.
Oh, yeah.
They just put a somewhat similar character, had him talk similar, and then they called him the Mouse.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And then once he became public domain, then he started saying it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's nothing they can do about that, really, or the Winnie the Pooh thing. I mean, they might try.
Yeah.
But as stated, they don't give a shit. I mean,
right.
Like Matt and Trey don't care. Like their bosses and shit might care, but they don't care.
Facts on facts. That is currently all the comic news I had there. There was some juicy stuff here.
Yeah.
Did we mention that Gen V's getting a season 2? I know we talked about season 1.
We didn't talk about that specifically, but they did get renewed. So,
which is always a good sign when like you're only part way through the season and they already get greenlit for a second season. Yeah, that's how you know you're onto something good. So, congrats to Gen V. I can't wait to see how season 1 wraps up. Already looking forward to season 2. And yeah, so it's gonna be some good shit. This was another really fun edition of Comic News, man. Do you have anything else you want to add to the docket?
I'm super excited for season 2 of Gen V. I'm super excited to see how season 1 wraps up. In terms of like great TV this year, man, there's not been a lot. I'm about to watch Wheel of Time season 2, unfortunately, but we got Invincible coming up, and I'm really hyped for that.
Yes. Really looking forward to Invincible, and it's coming out at a good time because, you know, it might be a little bit of a drought. Like, Invincible will be the last great superhero product we get this year.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I agree.
Yeah.
I just finished a Sanderson novel called Starsight.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to be putting out a very short kind of review on that. Nothing really lengthy or in depth. It's a non-Cosmere book. It's in his Cytoverse, which is a different thing.
Oh, something he does in his spare time, I see.
Yeah, you know, he takes a break from writing books to write other books. So,
as one does, yeah.
Yeah, so I've got a review coming out on that, and then I haven't decided whether I'm going to watch Wheel of Time. I may just go and do the Nolan thing like I was talking about, and go ahead and get that started, because I feel like so there's a popular guy I watch on YouTube, Daniel Green. He basically does all fantasy everything, right? Like any fantasy stuff. So from like Warhammer to Berserker to fucking Wheel of Time, you know, Sanderson novels, all that stuff.
So all different areas of fantasy.
Yeah. And really, I guess some sci-fi too. Yeah. Talk about Dune and all that stuff. So, I guess probably more like sci-fi fantasy, you know. But there's nothing I can do that can compete with this. So when the finale of season 2 of Wheel of Time happened, as you know, Brandon Sanderson has his own theater in his house.
Yeah. So
he invites Daniel Green to his house, and they live stream their reactions to the finale as it came out, like from his theater.
Jeez.
The two of them. Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey man, I'll fly you out here for the finale, and we'll just live stream it together." And I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Right.
I'm like, "I got a show too, dog."
Yeah. What the fuck, dog? Come on.
Yeah, man. I got a show too. What are we doing here?
Yeah, you know, it's like I texted you the other day. It's like, man, like this is some bullshit. Like I spent $20 on my ticket for the Marvels. You know how much that shit hurt?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm seeing that with the homie Brendan, and like he got his ticket. Like I didn't even tell him anything about the ticket prices. He hit me up after he got his ticket. He was like, "Hey man, these prices are some bullshit." And then it was like, "And on the Marvels?"
Yeah, I'm so just distraught, you know, that I'm not gonna be able to see that with you all. But I mean, I'm gonna go see it. Anyway, because I mean, I'll go watch it for Kamala. I will.
Yep. So.
And yeah, so there we are.
I think the movie, at least with me, I think it's gonna do better than expected for me. You know what I mean? Because
I think from the trailers, it looks like it could be fun, and that's way more than I can say for the first one.
Yeah, and you know what? It's gonna be relatively brief. Hour and 45 minutes. So unless it's just torturous, you know, I should be in and out. It's like Venom 2, like an hour and 30 minutes. In and out.
Yeah, like I don't love that movie, but it wasn't. At least it wasn't wasting my fucking time.
Right. Yeah. And if it was wasting my time, at least it was just 90 minutes. You know. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, you know, Brendan and I will be reviewing that when it comes out. It'll be an event to say the least. But that's going to be all for now. Caleb, thank you again, my friend, for being here. This has been amazing. A lot of shit going on out there in the nerd world. Hopefully you guys also really enjoyed this as well. We will see what happens. But until next time, my name is Superhero Homie Q.
And I'm Superhero Homie Caleb.